Success equals IQ times EQ times FQ. How many of you know of this? Today we have Faris Aranki from UK, the founder and CEO of Shiageto Consulting. Having spent over 2 decades delivering strategic change for the corporate and non-corporate world as the top-tier strategy consultant, educator, and in-house strategist, Faris has experienced firsthand the fine difference between strategic success and failure. Through Shiageto Consulting, his company, Faris brings a unique blend of expertise to the table, focusing on sharpening companies and individual effectiveness through his powerful formula, success equals IQ times EQ times FQ. His mission is to empower organizations to unlock their full potential by developing their intelligence quotient, emotional quotient, and focus quotient. Welcome to the show, Faris.
Thank you, Anshuman. It's a real pleasure to be with you and all the listeners, viewers today.
Great. You are in UK, so thank you for giving me time. It is evening time for you now. The name of your company comes from Japan. It is a Japanese word. Could you please give us the meaning of the name of the company?
Yeah, so the company is called Shiageto Consulting, and the Shiageto is a sharpening stone that you use to sharpen a knife, a sword, a pair of scissors, an axe. And so Japanese culture, it is the stone you use to get the finest finish. And the reason we called the company Shiageto is that's what we do for individuals and businesses. We sharpen them. All of us go a little bit dull over time. Our strategy, our success goes dull. So by working with us, we help you get sharper, just like a Shiageto.
Okay, Shiageto. Thanks for elaborating it for our benefit of our listeners here. This is getting recorded as a video cast. We will be cutting it into pieces and sending it out to all our followers. So thank you so much for giving time to us. Define your successful formula, IQ times EQ times FQ.
Yeah.
And give us some examples of that, how you implement it.
Okay, I'd love to. So the formula is super useful and is all based around, if you want to be successful in life, whatever, doesn't matter if it's your personal life, your professional life, your company, right? First of all, you've got to have a goal, right? You've got to know what you're aiming for. Once you have that, you need these 3 components, right? So let me take it through. The strategic IQ, that is the ability to come up with the best solution, not the first solution. Too many people come up with the first solution. Like, how do I get there? They're like, lazily we'll go, let's do this. Come up with the best idea, the best strategy, test it, make sure it's great, right, before you set sail. But that's not enough, because an idea without people is just a piece of paper. So the second part you need is strategic EQ, emotional intelligence, right? You need to be able to take others with you on the journey. You need to get them excited. You need to get them passionate and feel like it's their idea as much as it's your idea. And that's where the emotional intelligence comes in, right? But that's still not enough. You can have a great idea. You can have people excited and following. But if you don't have focus, and that's what FQ is, it's focus quotient. You need to set up your business, your life, to be very focused on delivering what you said is very important. And these are the things I've seen in my 20 years working with companies. They are either lacking one of those 3, and that's why they're not hitting their strategies. They're not being successful. And that's why we help.
Mm-hmm. Sure. So your consulting, fundamentally solves complex problems in the strategies for business and organizations. Can you give some actual real life examples on how did you help in turning them around?
Yeah.
Including your, by the use of your formula.
Yes, for sure. Right. So let's talk about one team that we're working with. The problem in the company, it's a manufacturing company. And every month they need to determine how much stock to make of each product. And what they discovered over time is they were producing too much stock. They were having to pay extra warehouse stock, and it was costing them hundreds of millions of dollars across the year. Okay. And initially they thought it was a technology problem that we're not forecasting correctly. So they paid for a new technology model. So they looked to improve their IQ, but it didn't help. They still had the problem. Then they looked to improve their processes. Right? Maybe we haven't got the right processes. Still didn't help. What they were failing to see is that it was an EQ problem. And because what was happening every month, the same thing. 2 different departments would meet once a month to agree the number of products to make. And one team was the very analytical modeling team. So they would sit behind a computer and work out a number. The other team were the sales team, full of extroverts, big personalities. Now, what happened is the sort of analytical team would approach them and say, we think the number is 100. The salespeople would say, 100? I can sell 1,000. Let's make 1,000. And because they were very strong people, personalities, they'd always make 1,000. And that's where the problem was. So that's an EQ problem. They're not having the same conversation. And then it's easily fixable when you could. So we went in and we trained that analytical team how to have a better conversation with the sales team. And you know what? It eliminated the problem and saved hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wow. How much time did it take you to, get in the company, identify the problem, give them the success formula, and help them in implementing it?
It took us less than 3 months. Okay, working with the teams to get them to have a better conversation.
Mm-hmm. So elaborate on your strategy testing methodology, including the strategic war games and strategy simulation that you do with your customers.
Yeah, well, let's talk about IQ then. So the problems we see in IQ is that people don't have enough ideas, right? They lazily take the first idea that they come. Say you told me, Anshuman, you want to learn a new language, right? And you say, well, I'm gonna do that by buying a book. And I'd say to you, well, let's come up with 100 ways you could learn a new language and then pick the best one of that, right? So that's the first thing that we help people do. We help them get more ideas on the table and they can then assess them. But you talked about how do we assess, how do we test things? We use techniques like pre-mortems. This is where you assume an idea is wrong and you find all the flaws in it so that you can make it better before you even launch it. Or you do some wargaming. Now, wargaming is one of my favorite activities. It's where you take a strategy and you test it against the market without having to spend millions of dollars to build it. Just have other people playing your competitors. See what happens when you make a move. How do they react? Learn from it, right? Because this is what happens in the real world. Right? But too many people don't take their strategy for a test drive. Yeah, you would if you were buying a car. Why not if you're going to invest hundreds of millions in a new strategy? So it's techniques like this that we use regularly with teams to improve their IQ.
Understood. And so your typical customer is in manufacturing or they are services company?
No, they're mixed. So we work with manufacturing, we work with services. Our current clients include the likes of Amazon, Heineken, Anglo-American. We work with fintech, and insurance tech companies. So lots of startups. So companies of all sizes, because if you think about it, people are in each of these businesses and people could all do with being a bit sharper, improving their IQ, EQ or FQ. So I really love the variety. I love the different clients that we have and everyone is a new problem for us to solve.
Wow. Okay. So how big is your company? How many consultants? How many customers do you service on an annual basis?
Okay, yeah. So we are a core team of 7, but we have a wider team across the globe. We stretch to about 30 people at the moment. Our clients, we have 35 customers. So last year we delivered to 18 of them projects. So it's exciting times for Shiageto and the clients that we work with because we are growing at a really nice rate and picking up new and exciting team members and new and exciting clients.
So who is your ideal customer? Give me a customer persona that you are good with.
Well, it's such a great question. Everyone wants to know the customer persona. Now, there's 2 ways I answer this. One is, who is the person that brings us into the company is different to who pays for our services. But typically, who ends up paying and sponsoring the project is usually a head of department, a head of strategy, or in the smaller companies, it's the C-suite. It's the CEO, the COO, right? But obviously, in the likes of Amazon, I'm not sitting down with the CEO every day, but I am working with different department heads or somebody in the HR team, or these sort of things. So those are our dream clients because they're people who see a problem and are keen to have some help to fix it.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure. So with this ideal customer persona that you just described, give me a story of the most easy customer who got very, very satisfied, and about a customer you did everything, but they're still not satisfied.
Yeah, it's a great question, right? I mean, I try and all my customers. So when I said who gets us into companies, all our customers are people I've already known, right? We're still at a size where I can still pull on my network, and that's how we get into these big companies. So, I often talk about my very first customer, or one of my early customers. He was a gentleman who I had worked with 10 years before, and he had seen on LinkedIn that I'd started this company, and he just rang me up. He took a chance that I still had the same phone number, and he rang me up and he said, 10 years ago, you taught me something that changed my career. I am now senior and run a team and run a department. I want you to come in and teach them what you taught me. All right. Best customer ever. He's still a customer today. All right. No pitch, no sales. Just come in. All right. We've been working with them for 4 years now. All right. And then the other end, we've had customers who very demanding. They want everything. I think you're one customer you won't give it, but effectively told me I would have 2 hours to teach their team to be completely different human beings. And I said, nobody can change in 2 hours. But this man was insistent. He said, if you won't do it, I'll get someone else. And he wasn't even happy with the results. We put on a fantastic program in 2 hours, but it's, these very unrealistic expectations often make, customers very challenging to have.
Yeah. How does a typical consulting model looks? Somebody who wants to hire you, the smaller budget project to a mid-sized budget project will be how many pounds?
How long's a piece of string, Anshuman? We work. Typically, we have a cap, but we're always keen to explore things, particularly for companies on the up. Yeah, I always say we're just as much entrepreneurial as they are. So if I see a great company, and let me tell you about one of our clients. They're a coffee tech company. So they've created a fantastic solution to solve a specific problem in the coffee industry. Now, but they're not a big team, but I can see they're going to go some places. Maybe they'll be a unicorn. So I said to them, hey, we're going to help you. I'm not going to charge you our normal fees, but what you're going to do is give me free coffee, right? As part of the subsidy, right? You're going to give me one of your machines. You're going to give me a subscription, and you're going to give me, in the early days, they gave me office space as well, right? So there's always an opportunity to do things if you find an interesting client or somebody in the up. But typically our project sizes range from 20,000 to 200,000 pounds here in the UK, kind of a project size.
Mm-hmm. Right. And just by looking at it, is it a one-time gig, or there is a continuous improvement? Because in any company, in your customer base, they will be hiring new people who might not have gone through the training or the process that you bring.
Yes, and that's music to my ears, right? So our biggest customer, we've been there 3 years, and we hope to be there another 3 years, because, as you say, when we finish working one team, the client says, okay, I now have 2 more teams. And he says, don't worry, I've got 400 teams. And by the time you finish the 400, like you said, there'll be different team members in the first one. So, it's there's a famous bridge here in the UK called the Forth Bridge, which is famous because they have to keep continuously painting it because the paint wears off by the time they finish one half of the bridge. And I'm sure it's the same. So, everyone dreams to have the Forth Bridge as a client.
Right. Yeah. Super. Are you just consulting there in UK, or do you have international market also?
We have it.
Or when are you going to expand to international?
Yeah, we've been very fortunate, particularly with COVID, when we were doing things virtually. Clients took us with them. So in the last 2 years, we've delivered in the Americas, we've delivered in Africa, we've delivered in Far East Asia. We've even delivered one project in Australia. So we are very much look at ourselves as global. We are definitely building more of a presence in the US market. So I'm very excited for some of the things we'll be doing later this year there. It means we get to continue to spread the good work of Shiageto around the globe.
Right, right. Well, good. What is next for your company? Where you want to take it?
Well, the sky's the limit, I'll be honest with you, Anshuman. I set it up 4.5 years ago as a bit of fun. I'll be honest with you and the listeners. So for the last 4.5 years, the only metric we measure, track every week is fun. All right. Me and the team, we score every Friday. How much fun have we had this week? And do you know what? The more fun we have, the more money we make. But I think for the next 5 years, the focus and the ambition is to grow this business more intentionally. Right. We're going to put more offices. We're going to build more permanent team. We're going to expand our client base. And so I'm excited for what the next 5 years, and then, we'll come up with a new strategy for the 5 years after that. But certainly, I think growth with intention, there's so much potential out there.
Cool. And when you are building your team, when you are growing, it must be difficult to find the right talent for your own company also, because you have such a strict formula, and everybody need to come, and some of the new employee might not be even exposed to this concept. So how do you identify and hire the right talent, and then how do you train them?
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate in all the team that I have at the moment. I've known many of them for 5, 10, 15 years, and I've worked with all of them before. So it's kind of like they've had a long interview process all the years of knowing me. So it's easy. But how am I gonna expand beyond the people I know? Referrals and testing is what I like. So I always say to any new employee, let's forget the job interview, because that's just a marketing exercise. Your real job interview is come and work with me for 3 months, and we'll see how that works out, right? And anyone who's new to the business follows the same process. See one, do one, lead one. So, they will be paired with an experienced member of staff to watch. Just the first few times they just watch. Second time, they'll be assisting. And the third time, they'll be at the front leading, running the workshops, right? And the other person is only there in case anything goes wrong. And this has worked beautifully as a way to transfer knowledge, make sure they're the right fit. And what with that 3-month, hey, this wasn't the right thing, right? If we found the wrong person, we're not afraid to just discontinue the experiment.
Mm-hmm. Super. Yeah, that is a good model. That come watch for one time, get involved, and then in the third round, get going, and go and deliver. So how is the model? You did speak about COVID times.
Yeah.
And how you pivoted at that time, and it was online, and now it is a mix of online and offline. So do you, how intense is the program? Do you need the team members of your client to be on call, in conferences? How do you, what is the delivery mechanism over here, Faris?
So the delivery mechanism is, no, we're not on call. Yeah, we're not there 5 days a week. Yeah, they will see our team maybe once a week for a workshop or a training session. So typical, depending on the kind of project. If it's a shorter project, then in 2-3 weeks we might work together to develop a strategy and a strategic plan, and that'll be 3 or 4 workshops across that 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe we spread it over a month. But if we're working longer, typically they'll see the team once a week or once every 2 weeks, and it'll be for 2-3 hours or an afternoon, and that's where we make the most impact. But the onus is then on them to continue progressing in between those sessions, and that's where we really hold them to account. To make sure that we are making the impact that we say we are.
Right. Okay. Your words of wisdom to budding entrepreneurs or somebody who has a decent sized company, why they should be using you?
Why they should be using us? Well, first of all, we guarantee our results, right? If you don't see a move on your strategy or your strategic KPIs, don't pay us, don't hire us again, right? Secondly, what we do is very interactive, right? And therefore the feedback we get, it is fun. People actually enjoy the experience as much as anything. So these two things I say are very powerful tenets, and it's why we haven't lost a customer yet. We continue to work with some of the biggest brands out there, even though we're a very small organization. We punch above our weight.
Right. What advice would you like to give who wants to start in your industry?
Come on board. There's more than enough. But if you're going to start in this industry or you're starting any business, right? It's about your mindset as much as your idea, right? You've got to be proactive. Nobody's going to come looking for you. You've got to get out there, test, try, experiment, talk to more people rather than less, and that's how good stuff happens. It doesn't come about just by chance.
Mm-hmm. So true. So viewers, success equals IQ times EQ times FQ. Thank you so much, Faris, for giving me time. You have signed in from UK. All the best to you, to your company, and to your team. Go conquer the world. Come to America also. I see, after listening to you, I see there are a lot of companies who will be needing your type of services here in US. I'm not sure what type of competition you will face here in US, but you are so thorough in your stuff that I'm sure you will make great inroads here in the US market, Faris.
I thank you very much, Anshuman. It'd be a real pleasure, and it'd be a real pleasure to work alongside you. And actually, next time we'll record a podcast in person. That's an ambition for coming to the US.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do that, Faris. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you.